I'm pretty sure that everyone in this community, I don't not just mean my community, but just the manga community in general, and probably also the anime community, at this point has heard the sad news about the passing of Akira Toriyama. And it's actually fun. I mean, it's not funny that. I'm gonna try to rephrase. It's kind of weird to me that normally celebrity death doesn't really matter to me that much because I do not know the person. They are just someone I have either seen or experienced their art, be it music, movies, comics, or whatever, through, and that is that I have more attachment to what they created than the person themselves. And the same goes for Akira Toriyama, but for some weird reason, I have been a fan of his for over 25 years, a quarter of a century. And by reading his art, his story, experiencing it, seeing it in motion, and seeing all the different types of stories and arts and just every creative output that he have made, basically, it kind of felt like that he was a close friend of mine. Even though that it is one of those friendships where there's a conversation, but it's only one person speaking to it, and you're just sitting back and just taking it all in. But still, you know the person, you empathize with the person, you feel for and with this person, and I just feel like that's what the relationship I had with Akira Toriyama. So that's probably why this is one of the few instances where it's a celebrity death just fucking hits, man. And I wanted to make a video on it. And I also didn't want to make it scripted. I mean, of course, I have thought about what do I want to say, what do I want to talk about. But at the end of the day, whatever pops up is what I need to talk about. It's just that this has been really a bummer of a day. So just let's retract a bit. Why does Akira Toriyama matter so much to me? And again, it's what you hear everyone saying. It's because I grew up with Dragon Ball. I mean, we all did. Everyone did. Because Dragon Ball just had that power to connect people, to collect everyone under a simple banner, being that Goku just wants to fight strong people and better himself physically, not mentally. And I think it's kind of weird that a story so simple as Dragon Ball, some will argue that Dragon Ball is more than a simple story. It has depth to it, it has layers. Well, in reality, it really does not have that many layers. It's basically just Akira Toriyama trying to draw a take on Odyssey to the West that just go balls insane because he has a lot of ideas and just throwing everything he can at the wall and have a very simple character in Goku. Yes, he gives him some complexity in that Goku wants to fight strong people no matter what, even if it cost him his friends and family. It is an interesting approach to a character, and it can make some interesting stories, character arcs, conflicts, whatever. But he never really utilizes on it. The most he does is at the Cell games, but even that is kind of lackluster. But it's not me trying to bash Dragon Ball. It's just, even though it is very superficial in its depth of characters, world building and such, what it excels as is fun. And I do not mean belly laughing fun. I mean enjoyment, the pure essence of enjoyment. I saw Dragon Ball when I was yay high. It's kind of bad for me to try and show it to you because the camera cuts me off right here, but knee high of my height, I was young, and we did not have a dub for Dragon Ball in my country forever, so I did not see it in Danish. And we have cable, had cable, and none of them, the channels, had the English dub. So I was stuck with the German dub. I saw Dragon Ball, and later on Dragon Ball Z on RTL 2. And my German has not improved a lot since then. My German was like toddler level. And even then, I enjoyed watching Dragon Ball because the story is that efficiently in telling you character motivation, bad guy motivation, what's going on, and what is this adventure about, and why is it fun. And then later on, when we are at 2002, the summer, I think, or spring of 2002. That's the year I turned 14. So yeah, I'm an old man. I saw this one volume in a 7-Eleven. I knew the existence of the Dragon Ball manga. I have seen him at that point. But that was the point in time where we actually had a Danish translation of Dragon Ball. I saw this one volume. I skimmed it like we all did back in the day. Just see it if it's something worthwhile. And for the first time ever, I bought one of those volumes that I skimmed. And it's this one. This one volume started my journey on collecting manga back in 2002. It is also my most banged up volume. It smells of old manga. I mean, it has yellow pages, as you can see here. But it just did something with me. The end of the Frieza battle, the beginning of the Android saga, something in it just spoke to me on a weird level, besides the amazing art. That's one of the things with Akira Toriyama. You have seen him going from, I will argue, bad art. I mean, I have his manga theater here, which has his first published work ever, and the art is atrocious. But you see it progress and peak in the Cell saga, and the way he just did paneling. It is something that has not really been topped to this day. You can say a lot about his storytelling, you can say a lot about his fight choreography or whatever, but the way he used page layout is still probably top 3 best in the world. Not just in manga, ever. It made it easy and intuitive to read a page and follow the action. But getting that volume started me on this journey. Dragon Ball is actually not, I don't think it is, but it's one of the first series I completed in my collection. It was got me into One Piece because of the advertisement at the back. I started watching One Piece on RTL 2 as well because I just told you why. Cable and such. And One Piece is my favorite ongoing manga at this point because it takes what was great about Dragon Ball and amplifies it. Same goes for Naruto. Naruto, when I started reading the first one, just the first chapter, there's this one panel, this way, I can't remember his name right now. Again, my head is all over the place, but you know who he is. Naruto's mentor. The way he opens his mouth reminded me of the Dragon Ball art style. And kind of like, but not really, but kind of like this panel from volume 42 with Son Goku shouting at his son because of Boo. But what it showed me is not that Kishimoto was copying the art style of Dragon Ball, but that the Dragon Ball art style and Dragon Ball story had such an impact and meant so much to him that before he could find his own art style, which Naruto later on found, he just used Dragon Ball's art style. Probably not even consciously, but subconsciously. But it shows you how impactful his work was, Akira Toriyama's. And I started wanting to collect more of his work. I got Dragon Ball, I got Katika, Sandland, Nickelodeon, his manga theater. I'm trying to get Jacob the Galactic Patrolman. Hell, at this point I might even get Dr. Slump. I might also try to get a physical copy of Chrono Trigger, which he did art for and helped with the story. of fucking Dragon Quest, which he continuously did art for even though he was retired. I mean, the man was so passionate about his work, he got out of retirement because of how awful Dragon Ball Evolution was, and then he helped creating Battle of the Gods, which then later on springboarded Dragon Ball Super, which revitalized the popularity of Dragon Ball. Hell, we even got a spin-off manga that he ended up writing. And just to hammer home how big this legend was, my girlfriend knows fuck all about manga. She really doesn't know anything because she doesn't give a shit, which is fine. I mean, it's my hobby, it's not her hobby. If you want to take part of it, she's welcome, but if she doesn't want to, I understand. It's my thing. She knows the existence of the manga. She knows the existence of Fullmetal Alchemist. We saw Brotherhood together. She knows what this tattoo means. She knows of Berserk because she's seen me reading it. She knows of Akira, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, One Piece. Anytime someone says Luffy, she says no, it's pronounced Luffy because phonetically looking at Luffy's name in English would be Luffy. So she knows of it. I had today, at this point, already seen the news about Akira Toriyama's passing. And yet, a few hours later, I get a message from her stating to me that Akira Toriyama had died. She did not write the author or creator of Dragon Ball had died, even though Dragon Ball is what is most recognized about him, right? It's Dragon Ball. Everyone knows about Dragon Ball. She didn't write that because she knew this meant a lot to me. She actually wrote his full name. And she wrote it to me because, again, she knows how much it matters to me. Because that's what a big guy he was. Influential. And really goes to show the reach of his story, the reach of his art. That even those who do not follow manga, anime, or anything that comes out of Japan, they know of Son Goku. They know of the Dragon Balls. They know it's a big deal. They might not know what it is, but they know of it. I mean, Dragon Ball is so big to me that I actually bought life-size replica of the Dragon Balls. I might actually just fit them for you. I mean, here they are. They're basically just collecting dust because I don't have room to put them on. But these are life-size Dragon Balls with stars in them. Why would I buy something like this? Because it's Dragon Ball. Because it matters to me. Because it matters to all of us. We have often... Let me just put this away. We have often made fun of the simplicity of Dragon Ball, the story. It is an easy entrance point to manga, but there's a lot of more complex story out there. But anytime I have seen any manga collector's collection out there and they reach Dragon Ball, they never badmouthed it. They never talked it down. They've always said that they grew up with it, or they have it because it is legendary. That you can say a lot about it, but at the end of the day, it's just Dragon Ball. So of course you gotta have it. And one thing really struck me, actually. For the longest time, I've only really I have only really read Dragon Ball. So that was the only type of storytelling I knew from Akira Toriyama. Yes, it was very gag manga in the beginning and kind of became it at the end. But it also was this very serious, strong writing midpoint of the Namek and Cell saga. But it was still over the top, action, brutal. I mean, we saw Dr. Jenner's brain get splattered. But I thought that was the only thing he was capable of. Then I read Sandland. And Sandland is to this day my favorite story of his. It's not Dragon Ball. Even though Dragon Ball is still very important to me and I love it to death. Sandline just showed me something more grounded, even if Satan's son is the main character in it. But still, it showed me an aspect of Akira Toriyama I did not know existed, of his storytelling, his art, his passion of trying something different and not always going with what everyone's perception of him was. And that very came into fruition in his manga theater, because you see him try everything with all the short stories that's in there. And I have had a lot of bad things to say about Dragon Ball Super the manga. Toyotaro's inexperience, his imitation of the Dragon Ball art, but not the paneling and page layout and the fluidity of the fights, how every fight seemed just static, unintuitive, uninspiring, and just lacking creativity in general. Even though if he has improved a lot over the years, it is still just nothing compared to the original. Even with that, I still kept reading Dragon Ball Super, because I knew Akira Toriyama had a part to play in it. He wrote the outline of the manuscript, at least. And that was enough for me. That's all I needed. It could be a dog shit story. As long as he has a touch on it, I knew that there will at least be some magical moments in there, even though if they were buried. And when I saw them, they were awesome, even if often buried by imitation of this is how Toriyama did it, and this is how Toritaro did it. It's basically the same, just with his art. It kind of rings hollow, but it does come from a place of love. I don't really know what I wanted to say about this whole thing with this video. I guess I just had a lot of thoughts and feelings regarding Toriyama. I just had to get off my chest, because at the end of the day, I just can't believe it. I cannot believe it. And the amount of love and respect, not only from the Western community, but from the manga community as well. And I mean, in Japan, it is the same as with Kentaro Miura, because these were giants. They both started out in the 80s, and they created giants of manga stories, Berserk and Dragon Ball. And see how many was inspired by them. Hell, if there's a story you like in Shonen Jump right now, it has its inspiration from Dragon Ball, because Dragon Ball popularized fighting manga in that sense. Beforehand, it was just manga artists trying to imitate 80s Hollywood action. Kentaro Miura even stated so in the Berserk guidebook, which was funny to me. And he also wrote in there that Dragon Ball helped push them to do things more their way, try to break free of just imitating Hollywood. And you can feel it, the creativity. And I'm pretty sure when I look at all the Shonen Jump series that I love, I can easily find the inspiration from Dragon Ball. It's stupidly easy. But it will also show his eternal legacy. Yeah. I don't think I have much more to say. Sorry of this bummer of a video. I mean, I could bring out a lot of comparison and analysis for his work, his person, whatever, but at the end of the day, this is just what I have to say about it. I don't want to go into any more effort, because to me, it would still ring hollow, because you compare it to this giant man. He was the man, the myth, and to me in my childhood, legend. He will be missed. So I'm gonna turn off the camera. I'm gonna probably cry my ass out and read some Dragon Ball maybe. I don't know, fuck no. I promise you, the next one will be more cheerful. But again, I had to get this off my chest. All right. I would love to hear your stories about your experience with Akira Toriyama's work. It doesn't matter the medium. And what your first memory of any work you saw of him were. For me, again, it was German television. Yeah. All right. I'll catch you in the next one.